with a friend of mine from Zimbabwe, and it was in the night, and we weren't sure whether we should. I knew I should walk around with my passport, because Kenyan police can be a little bit
brutal, eh?
Brutal. But my Zimbabwean colleague wasn't walking around with his passport, so we're about to enter like a restaurant, and the police surround us, and they tell us, "Where are you from? You know, identify yourself." So I switch immediately to Kiswahili, and I thought that would save me from some harassment. And then I showed them my passport, and they saw it's a Nigerian passport, and then I'm speaking Kiswahili, and they were so confused for like 2 minutes, and they were like, "Aye, who you need to wait to bana? Like, this is our person, but he has a Nigerian passport. How is that possible?"
Yes.
And then, and then my Zimbabwean friend is like, "I have my ID," and they tell him, "Aye, if you're in Zimbabwe and a Kenyan came there, will you accept a Kenyan ID card?" Needless to say, they took $50 from us that day. And our appeals on Pan-Africanism fell on deaf ears.
Your appeal of Pan-Africanism is to give $50 to the police service, to the police charity.
Police charity.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the breakfast show.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the breakfast show. Okay, my brethren, my sistren, and my transren. Welcome to the breakfast show at the Labone Dialogues. My name is James Murua. I'm here with my co-host,
Socrates
Mbamalu. And we'll be here for the next 1 hour or so. We'll be chatting about a whole host of things. The first thing we're going to do is we started yesterday officially at this site. And Socrates will tell us, what were we doing yesterday? What was the story?
Yesterday was really interesting. We saw different writers and authors and different speeches, at the beginning. And it was interesting to see also the various panels that took place that day. It was a booked day to the last. Very interesting statements from, the president from the New York University. Very interesting statements from the UNESCO. Also, for many of those who don't know, currently Accra really is the UNESCO World Book Capital for 2023. So this is part of that conversation, around literacy, around we as Africans and the stories we tell, and around our narratives that we want to tell, not just to ourselves, but also around the continent. Especially a continent where a lot has been written about it, but not by the people, from the continent itself. So in a sense, that's why we're here trying to reclaim the narrative.
So, for you, what are some of your highlights, some of the panels that that really excited you?
Interesting, because we had a couple of panels, some focusing on pleasure, some focusing on crime and reputation, some focusing on music and novel, telling in a story. So I think for me personally, the panel I really enjoyed was the Aminata Forna.
The keynote.
Yeah, the keynote speaker who spoke yesterday. I think her speech was very beautiful, very poignant, great storytelling, and it really for me captured the essence of what it means, for example, to be working for a Western institution as an African, and how you balance, the stories that are being told there.
I really enjoyed a lot of the panels, but my favorite one was Why Women. And the Why Women panel was where they were chatting about writing as women, or whether you write as women or strong women or women, not women. And I'd like to welcome our first guest to the show today. Abubakar Adam Ibrahim was actually the moderator for that panel. Please come through, Abubakar.
Hi, Abubakar.
Akwaba. Yes.
Yeah, so...
Thank you first for agreeing to being our first guest on the More Breakfast Show. Please give him a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for conscripting me.
Thank you for having. So, first of all, is this your first time to Accra?
No, this is my second actually.
It's the second time.
Second time, yeah.
And have you? This is your time with Labone and NYU.
This is my second time.
So you've been.
No first time for work.
So yeah, NYU brought me to Accra the first time, and it was a blast. I did a reading then. Yeah, and it's interesting to see the connections between Ghana and Nigeria in real life. I mean, of course, Ghana is the younger sibling to Nigeria, and it's good.
I don't want any diplomatic roles.
You know,
maybe you can
it
say
is what
smaller,
it is,
not
right?
younger, because Ghana was the first black country to be independent in Africa.
Yeah, you know, the funny thing about Nigeria is that it's it doesn't really matter when you're born. We're just bigger, and you know, I don't want to say more dominant, but we're just bigger.
Oh yes, you're definitely more. So, first of all, how was your day yesterday? Apart from your panel, how was your general experience?
It was great. It was great. I think the sessions, all of them, were like really, really good. Very smart conversations, very brilliant writers. And it's such a pleasure, and I think it's an honor, to be honest, right? To be in the presence of so many intellectual writers from this continent, right? And to have all these conversations about the brilliant ideas behind the works that we've seen, read, and enjoyed all these years. And to actually see these people kind of engaging with the subjects and contemporary issues around African writing and all of that, it was a brilliant, brilliant day.
What about your panel? Because you seem to be having a bit of a challenge. They were throwing the questions back at you. How was your panel?
Yeah, they wanted to do that, right? But, you know, that panel was interesting because maybe for the first time, I wasn't being asked questions about writing women. I was asking questions about writing women to people who have written about women before. So that was interesting. I thought I was going to like have a smooth ride and not have any questions thrown back at me, but that happens when you have like smart writers on the board, right? So yeah, they threw some of the questions back at me, but the good thing is that I wasn't the focus of the attention yesterday. So my answers were brief, and I threw it right back at them. So that was cool. Yeah.
I mean, you have definitely been on many panels across the continent and even outside the continent. What about yesterday's panel for you felt a little bit different?
One thing that was different was that I was moderating. that definitely was different. You know, I've been used to being on the other side more often than I am on the side throwing the questions out. But that was interesting. The other interesting thing is, I think with Suleiman we've done a panel before. With Nana and Aisha we haven't. And I just met Aisha for the first time yesterday. I've read her works, so you know there's that familiarity. There's that knowledge that you have of people because you know, you occupy the same spaces, technically, right? You've been in the same sort of conversations. Your works have been put in the same conversations. And maybe on social media, you kind of are very much aware of each other's presence. But to meet for the first time, that was exciting. So being on the panel with writers who have written about women from very different perspectives, right? But then see how they are connected. They're doing almost the same thing in very different ways, from very different perspectives. That was exciting. Yeah.
One question. There's a thing we've been seeing that's coming out of the world of the social media system, where apparently now writers are content creators. Do you subscribe to that, or is it something that you don't want to be a content creator?
I don't know, haven't they always been content creators? Because they create content, right? That's what they do. Just then it was called writing, right? Maybe now because of digital spaces, people are kind of like, yeah, you have to create content for the digital space. I find that maybe this would be like me again from the perspective of a lazy writer, right? Because I think there's so much or too many demands being put on writers. You write fiction and people are asking you the questions about the meaning of life. And you're like, yeah.
Storyteller.
I just write stories, right? Why should I know any better about the meaning of life than you, who has been reading books all along, you know? So yeah, this is another demand that is being placed on writers, and it's not just on writers as well, just on journalists too, right? And basically everyone else. So now everybody wants to be a content creator, whatever that means. And you see people kind of making skits on Facebook, Instagram, wherever, right? And they are not funny at all. A good number of them, yeah. Some of them are funny, and then some of them are not. Like I saw this skit once that this comedian wanted to like do a setup prank on somebody, and he called this woman from work to tell her, hey, your husband is cheating on you, and I have evidence, and he's right home now. Leave your work and come, right? And she's like, no, I don't believe you. And he insisted. So she left her work, came back home, and the husband was in on the prank, and they had this girl in the place, and this woman was like about to have a heart attack. And they put her through this torture for 30 good minutes. And I'm like, what kind of prank is that, right? If you do it for a minute or two, okay, maybe. But 30 minutes, she was like tearing her head out, and then after 30 minutes, they're like, hey, it's a prank. You know, so yeah, this pressure to create content, some of it is entertaining, but I think most of it is damaging for people who are put through this pain. And the same applies to writers who are being put under pressure to create contents. So apart from writing really brilliant books that take a lot of thinking and all of that, there's also this pressure to create entertaining content for people on social media, where you, I guess, maybe better invest that time in thinking about more substantial work. Yeah.
So will we be seeing Abubakar Ibrahim TikTok channel very soon?
I will start one if Leah agrees to join me.
I'll give you one more question. Yeah. What do you see? Are you seeing African writing in a rosy way? Is it looking rosy for you going forward? Like, how is the African literary space? What are your prospects? What do you see the prospects for the space going forward?
I don't understand what you mean by rosy. Who gave you the impression that writing is rosy in the first place?
The writers.
Oh, really?
Yes. They make it look so cool.
Oh. Have you been with them in the spaces where they create?
Yes.
I want to hang out with the writers you're hanging out with.
Yes.
But it's a messy process. It's tedious. It's hard work.
No, I think I asked the wrong question.
Yes, probably you did.
Is the future bright for African writing?
Oh, that's what you meant.
That's what I meant.
Why didn't you say it like that?
I have now.
Yes, it is. Most definitely. Most definitely. I think we have a lot more writers coming through now. I think there's, I don't know. I think to be an African writer, right from the very beginning, takes a lot of daring, right? You have to be daring, you have to be out there, you have to be forceful in some capacities, right? And we've had that transition kind of expanded and maybe rebranded for this generation and this age. And I think it's an exciting thing. Lots of brilliant writers from across the continent, not just traditional powerhouses like Nigeria, where there's been a lot of writing. But you see writing workshops, and I've been privileged to facilitate a good number of them. And you see the quality of writing that is coming through, the promise that those writings hold. And these are writings coming from people who are in their early 20s, mid-20s. So you just see that there's no limits for where they can achieve. If they're writing this quality of stuff now, right, and if they keep on it, you just see that, yes, there's so much room for growth to go forward. So, yeah, the challenge has always been in finding the publishing, the avenue to kind of put the works out there. Fortunately, going back to content creation, right, you have digital spaces where a lot of the stories can be published. So you have an outlet of some sort, right? But we still need the traditional publishing, and we simply don't have enough of that. And I think that's where we can invest more and get more books out there. But yes, future bright, rosy, according to
Thank you so much,
Thank
Adam
you.
Abubakar
Wait,
Ibrahim.
before you
Thank you,
leave,
Socrates.
are you doing any other panel apart from the one from yesterday?
Yes, I'm going to be talking with Mike and Aminata about prizes today. Yeah, so, and Jennifer. I mean, like
So we'll be seeing you
with
later.
Jennifer.
We'll be seeing you later
You'll
today.
be seeing me in a short bit. Yes.
Perfect.
Great.
Thank
All
you
right.
so much, Abubakar.
Thank you. Have
Ladies
fun.
and gentlemen, Abubakar Adam Ibrahim. That was Abubakar Adam Ibrahim.
But by the way, fun fact, sorry to cut you short, my first workshop in Nigeria, was hosted by Abubakar Ibrahim. And that was in Abuja, I think 2014. And he had just won the he had been shortlisted for the Kane Prize back then.
Please don't say Kane Prize near him, please.
Yeah, but it was awesome, and very down to earth, hasn't changed a bit, and yeah, a great inspiration to many young writers on the continent.
As you can see, he also won the Nigerian Prize for Nigerian Prize for Literature, which we can't say it now because it's many years ago, and it's the richest prize in African literature at $100,000. So he won it a few years ago. No, I think it's finished. If you win $100,000 as an African, it never lasts. Oh, am I lying, guys? There are family members in the line there waiting for you. Yes.
Change citizenship. Come to Nigeria.
Yeah. So maybe, Socrates, you can tell us what to expect today.
Today, actually, we have the second session. This is the second day, and definitely Mike will be there with Abubakar Adam Ibrahim. He'll be there with Jennifer Makumbi, and they'll be having these discussions around prizes, Africa to the world and stuff like that. Also, we have Wale Shoyinka coming today. Interesting. This is gonna be great.
That's a big.
That's a big deal. We'll be having Swedi Agema, Wana, Damia Jai. We're going to be having Gregory here too, and that will be a panel on connection diasporas. And I think talking about the diasporas in the last in the last few years, we have seen a lot of young African writers move out of the continent, to the diaspora, and there have been conversations basically on, how is this changing African writing? There are conversations on what is the authenticity, of African writing, and whether this writing is African enough, whether this writing is Nigerian enough, I mean, these are questions probably we should have stopped asking now. Probably shouldn't be debatable right now, but I think there's always that tension between the continent, those writing on the continent who probably have lack of resources, and those who are, out of the continent, who also are struggling in their own ways and adjusting to the new realities as immigrants and all that. Of course, we have expatriates. Yes, not immigrants, expatriates to the West. You're an expatriate, okay. I agree. You're selling your skills. Yeah, so, we have all that going on. And, I'll be very curious to really see the panel on prices on the continent, because that's such a huge, huge issue. Because, prices, number one, prestige is there, and number two, the money is there.
Oh, money. Show me that.
Yeah.
So maybe we can welcome Michael.
Yeah, Michael.
Michael, please come and join us on the hot seat. So as he's settling in, maybe I'll shout out some of the people in the audience. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm doing a shout out. Some of the people you're hearing in the background, we have Zuki Swavana here. We have Leah Denley. Shout out to the two. We have Manu Habstein. Welcome, sir. Welcome. We have Nana Ekwe Bruhamand. Welcome, Akwaba. We've already done Abubakar Adam Ibrahim. Welcome, Mariam. Yes, we know the people who ate that money. So maybe we can start with you, Michael. Is this your first time in Ghana?
It is, yeah. It's my third time on the continent.
Okay, so Nigeria, Ghana,
Cape Town.
South Africa, of course. Yeah. So how has your experience been in Ghana so far?
It's been great. It's been kind of a whirlwind. I had a couple friends who were here already when I got to town, so they picked me up on Sunday night and took me out all over town. I've had some great meals. Had some nice Ivorian food last night outside.
Okay.
So where did you fly from? Tell us. How was the flight? How was everything?
I flew in from New Haven, Connecticut. Well, actually, the flight was from New York, but I live in New Haven, Connecticut, and yeah, it was great. I ate, I slept, I woke up, I ate, and we landed.
That was one of the longest flights, almost 17 hours?
No, it's 10 hours nonstop.
Oh, lucky you. I had to come through LA to Heathrow and down here almost 16 hours.
Yeah, well, I recommend going through JFK next time on Delta.
Yeah, so I mean, like, just as a purpose of introducing you, please tell us about the prize you run.
So I run the Wyndham Campbell Literature Prize at Yale University, which is a relatively new prize, not as new as it used to be, but we've been around for 11 years. And it's a prize, we call it the Writer's Prize, and very specifically because it's different than other prizes. It's not, we don't operate on like a sports metaphor. You know, we don't call our prize recipients winners. We don't have a short list. We don't have a long list. Nobody knows that they've been nominated for the prize. Nobody knows who the judges are. But, you know, if you're one of the people who receives the prize, you get a call from me one morning saying, guess what, you just won $175,000.
Wow.
Can I give you my number now?
Yes, got it, cool. WhatsApp, right?
Yeah. You said 175,000.
What's that? It's now 175. It went up last year. And we give out 8 prizes every year. So if you add that all up, it's about $1.4 something million a year, which in the aggregate is more than the Nobel Prize for literature. And
so wait, how do we get in? You
just hope.
I mean, Michael, give us.
There's no lobbying. I mean, I don't have any impact on the judging process. All I do is pick the judges. And so I travel all over. I go to a lot of literary festivals in different parts of the world. The prize is for English language writers in fiction, poetry, nonfiction, and drama. And so a lot of my job is going around trying to, you know, get a sense of the literary cultures in different parts of the world, but also to kind of find out who are the people in those regions who know about the work and who can write a good nomination letter and tell me who's doing interesting writing in each of these categories in different parts of the world.
So I'm sure African winners have won this prize.
Yeah, I was trying
like
to, I know I was going to be asked this today because, you know, many people, because of how many fiction writers have received the prize from the continent, think it's an African prize. So I actually did the numbers this morning. We've given out, in 11 years, we've given out 23 prizes in fiction, and 9 of them have gone to writers from the continent. So 40% of our prizes have gone to African writers. And that's not intentional at all. It's really a reflection of how much amazing writing is coming out of Africa from all of these different countries. I mean, we've had writers from Uganda, Sierra Leone, Nigeria, Ghana, sort of. Ghana slash Jamaica. South Africa. You know, we had 2 writers from Zimbabwe in the same year.
Titi Dangarembwa and Sipiwe Glory and Love.
Yeah. So it's, you know, I try to have a balance of people who are nominating from all over the world. And some years, you know, we'll have, I'll say, maybe we need to like chill out on the African writers this year because there's so many of them. And it doesn't matter because even when I try to do that, African writers still get nominated and they still win. Because there's just there's really so much good writing. You know, to the question you were asking Abu Bakar earlier, there's so much good writing coming out of Africa right now that it's just hard to keep it down.
How has it been, getting that balance, for example, between fiction, non-fiction, coming from Africa, considering many people seem to get inspiration mostly from the fiction part of it?
Yeah, I mean, I think different parts of the world value different kinds of writing, I think, and so there hasn't been. We've had one nonfiction writer from Africa,
Iduma?
Emmanuel Aduma. He was our first. And he's doing a really interesting kind of writing that you don't see that much in the nonfiction category coming from Africa. A lot of the stuff that we get isn't really exactly what we're asking for. Sometimes, you get like memoirs of somebody who was involved in like the South African peace process or something like that. That's really highly specific, but not necessarily like a creative literary nonfiction. So I'm constantly working on that to try to sort of find people who are doing interesting work. And then they're like the Caribbean is like really rich in poetry. We had a slew of poets win from the Caribbean in the same way that we've had a lot of African writers win in fiction. So a lot of it depends on what the literary culture is in that part of the world and what they value, and how much competition there is, right? Like how many people are involved in that writing community in that part of the world that people, writers, I think they value community, and I think there's this way in which when there's a lot of people involved in the conversation, it ends up producing a lot more nuanced, complicated work in a particular category.
Listen, we don't want to prompt your panel.
Okay.
Because we know you'll be saying a lot of this in your panel. First of all, of course, we have to keep shouting at the people coming. Welcome, Aminata Fona. Welcome, Jennifer Nansubuga Makumbi. Welcome, Super Agent Sharon. Welcome, team NYU, Elliot and team. Welcome. Is any of you gonna come on this chair?
Smile.
You'll find out. You'll see. As we say in Africa, you'll see. Yes. So welcome, guys. What I'll do is, because we don't want to prompt your panel, please tell us about what you're going to be doing later today.
Okay, well, we've got a panel with Jennifer, Aminata, and Abu Bakar, and we're going to be talking about literary prizes in the world.
Okay, so we'll say thank you very much. When is it happening?
Good question. Soon?
11 a.m.
11.
So, ladies and gentlemen out there on the interwebs, 11, please make sure you're here with us. So, thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
And,
Thank you so much, Michael.
All right.
Thank you, Michael. Okay. Now, I want to make him sure he's sitting down. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to the Breakfast Show. I'm your host, James Murua, and I'll be with my guest.
Socrates Mbamalu.
What we're doing here at the show is telling you what's been happening in the festival, what happened yesterday, and what's likely to happen today, and we'll be having guests coming and chatting about what's been happening. So do you have enough information, Elliot? Okay. So I know you have something to say at this time.
Who told you that?
No, I know you have something to say.
Anyway, I think the conversations have been going pretty well since yesterday. One of the most interesting things, coming from just Michael's brief conversation here, is about prizes on the continent. And of course, just recently, the King Prize was awarded, and over the years, the King Prize has really been very defining, especially for short stories on the continent. So it's interesting to see there's still some interest in that sphere of writing, but also I think the conversation also has shifted to production of books and writing more books. And it's interesting to see that at least people are still fired up, about wanting to engage and push on.
Yeah, so I knew he had something to say. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. We're still here. So we are trying to prompt you because in the next few minutes we're going to be wrapping up this session. Do you have any question for Socrates before we start doing our goodbyes? They're happening very soon. None? I also would like to shout out, I saw Onjaki walking in here. Shout out to Onjaki, Angola's most important writer. It's Calafia. Oh God, there's also Calaf. Calaf is also Angola's most important writer. They're both the most important. Shout out to the Namibian writers in the audience.
Which ones? How many?
Two. I've only seen one of them. So
the one most important. The one you see is the most important.
Yeah, the one we see is the most important. So at the moment, it's Remy Gambinje, who's just flown in from Nairobi.
Angola's most important writer, welcome to the front.
No, please come. You're a very important writer to us. No, please come and deny it with the microphone, so we can say it. No, this is a breakfast show. Where
this
we
is
just put
a
you
breakfast show.
Yeah, so we put you at the center of it, and ladies and gentlemen, this is Onjaki.
Thank you.
Please say welcome, Onjaki.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
God bless you, brother.
Yeah. So we made the accusation that you're the most important writer in Angolan writing.
Yes.
Is this not true?
No, not at all. The best writer
I
in
said
Angola.
most important, not best.
The most important writers in Angola are both. Some are dead already, but they still are the.
So the most important alive.
Oh, the most important alive would be this lady called Paula Tavares. Paula Tavares, or Ana Paula Tavares. That would be for me. And another one, Luandino Vieira, and another one called Manuel Rui. I would put them three together.
Do they live in Angola?
They live in Angola, yeah. Not Luandino. Paula, no, just one. Manuel Rui lives in Angola, yeah. You want the most important
people
living in Angola?
You see, we are trying to make sure you're the one who becomes...
That's Manuel Rui for sure, in my opinion, yeah.
Yeah, so where do you and Calaf belong in that?
Well, today, as of 2023, I found out that I am a nomad. You could say that in English? Nomada.
You don't matter, you're non-important?
No, people ask me, where do you live? Where do I live? I live in the row 17 of a Boeing 747. That's where I live. But when they want to know where I have most, you know how I know home is where I have more books and panties, cuecas. Is it panties?
Panties?
Like
boxes? Underwear?
No, underwear, yeah. And that's Luanda for now. More books and more underwear, Luanda.
I really like the panties idea, but I like the idea of the panties. We are trying to be liberal in this world, so it means you're open about how your undergarments.
I have no problem with my underwear. Never had a problem. I use my father's underwear, my brother-in-law's underwear. I don't know if they like it or not, but.
Okay, let's focus on books.
Not my mother's underwear, but my mother uses my underwear, so it's a mess in my house. This is the kind of show you were looking for?
Yes.
So glad I could assist you in that.
That sounds like a really, really nice title for a short story. My mother uses my underwear.
I'm not sure she will like it, but we can try. I have a very crazy family, as you can see, so it helps me with my writing. And I was told to talk about children books, right, Mr. Boss? Yeah, the boss is there waving like that.
Please.
Not underwear. See, he's going for the underwear.
No, we need the clicks. We need the engagement. Oh, by the way, we must tell them the hashtag is hashtag NYU Accra lit Simp.
With a P.
With a Y.
LITSYMP, not SI, SYMP. NYU Accra LITSYMP. Literature Symposium. So please, guys, when you're tweeting us, please So please tell us about the children's books
Before we finish. I write for children. I'm not sure if I write for children. Usually people ask me, I have books for children and young adults, as it is, considered to be like that. I think the books are changing now. Young adults' books are changing. By that I mean, you just write, and then you will find out who's going to read it and for what age. I don't think you have to be worried while you're writing. Of course, I won't be putting some kind of contents or language in some sort of books, but I'm not very, I just think you don't, when you're writing, you shouldn't think about it. Who's my reader's age? I don't believe in that,
Oh, so you just write.
I write,
And then you let the
later
other
on,
people
for example, when I go and look for an illustrator, usually those are friends, but sometimes I just finished a book and I saw this Colombian illustrator. She's very good. And I just wrote to her, Instagram, and I told her, this is my new book. Can you have a look? And if you like it, let me know. And that's how it starts. If they like it, they come and draw with me. And then as soon as they start drawing or making the drawings, I start changing the contents of the book. I do believe that it's a two-person's work. You can change the text, because sometimes the drawings are talking and writing too, and then you just change. For me, it's very pacific doing that. For some people, they don't like to change, so it's like, this is my text and you draw it. No, I don't think it's up to the publishing day. You can still change and make some adaptations. I've been doing that for a while. The first children book that I wrote, it's called Inari, A Menina das Cinco Tranças.
So I know, just before you go on, you normally write in Portuguese, right?
I only write in Portuguese, yes. Sometimes I read in other languages, but writing only in Portuguese. Our Portuguese from Angola, I'm Manuel Rui, Luandino, Paula Tavares, not so much Agualusa, but somehow Calaf. It's a very specific Portuguese, especially in writing. When you hear our accent, you know that we are from Angola, you know that we are from Mozambique or Brazil. It's very clear. But in the writing, I think we have a very specific way of writing. That's why yesterday somebody was talking about the so-called English department becoming literature in English, and that's our battle too, because we speak Portuguese, but we are from Angola or Mozambique or Guinea. So when they say it's Portuguese literature, we say, no, it's literature in Portuguese, in our case, but there are other languages too. So I prefer that as well. It's literature in Portuguese, because if you say Portuguese literature, you're making a mess between, the culture, the contents, and it's the name of our language.
I suspect that the Portuguese will call it Portuguese literature to add to their...
Not all the Portuguese. Some do it. Some understood that it's a common language. It's a common...
Lingua franca.
Yeah, that would be the thing. So it's beautiful. It's like that. You don't need to correct other people's languages. You have the Portuguese of Angola. You have the Portuguese of Cape Verde. And it's beautiful like it is. This diversity, it's something that makes the language grow.
Just to buttress on that point, you had mentioned earlier you don't think of your audience per se. How does that play out when it comes to language, when you're writing in Portuguese and you saying Portuguese is very specific?
I think that Mozambique, Angola, especially these two, and also Brazil, we write in a way that we are still adding and creating not only new words, we do that, but it's it's a different way of using the Portuguese language. Not all the Portuguese writers. You have one or two that are a little bit more aggressive and acrobatic, but usually they stay there. In Brazil or in Angola, in Mozambique, the language does change every day. Every day. Like I'm 2 weeks without being in Luanda, and I get there and I ask my nieces and nephews to update me. I have to do the downloading. Otherwise, I'm going to the street and I won't understand 2 or 3 things. And kuduro, the music. So kuduro brings new information to the language every week. So the president himself must update his Portuguese language. Sometimes he asks his advisor, so what should I say? Because the language is alive, pretty much alive. It's alive too in Portugal, but it takes time for them. And for us, it's natural.
So how does this affect you as a writer? When you think of audience.
Then there's the other thing. For example, the Portuguese writer Fernando Pessoa used to say, patria, I don't know the word patria, like my nation? No, patria. He said, sorry? Fatherland, yeah. He said something like, o português é a minha pátria. So the Portuguese language is my fatherland. And Miyakoto said something similar, but he added the mine. So he said, my Portuguese is my fatherland. My Portuguese, each one's Portuguese. It was not even talking about Mozambique. And I like that idea. I have my own Portuguese. It's mine. No one can take it from me. And I don't care what Brazilians or Portuguese or Nigerians say about my Portuguese. I have my own Portuguese. It's my own country, my own country as in my land of work. No, really, that's a thing, because sometimes we would get corrected. Once I went to Portugal and a teacher at the school told these students, this is the guy that wrote that book that has some mistakes, but it's okay. And she started laughing and said, no, excuse me, what? No, because I want to know the mistakes that my book has so I can correct them. No, I mean, you in Angola, you write it. No, please tell me what the mistakes are. There were no mistakes, you know. Actually, there was this first person character. So the way the guy speaks and the way I was writing using his voice, it's the way we speak in Rwanda. So it's not exactly a mistake.
I'm going to ask you one more question. Please tell us about the KL. I know you have your bookshop and your publishing house. Just tell us a little bit about it. And as you're thinking about it, I continue shouting out to some of the authors. I'm seeing, I see Ni Aikwei Parks. Shout out to Ni. Is it Nai? Because I had it being pronounced differently by here. But it's Ni, yeah? It's Ni. Shout out to Ni. We'll always shout out Frankie, yeah? Chike, Frankie Chike Dozie, an author of award-winning Men of Life, Lives of Great Men. Award-winning writer. So please tell us about Kiela, the bookshop and the publishing house in brief.
Yeah. So Kiela was a project. We had a friend, a female friend. She wanted to open a bookstore. She came to me and said, "Would you?" I said, "No, it's too much trouble. But I want to open a tiny publishing house." So I said, "Okay, let's do it together. Like just one document and all." So we opened both the Kiela and Kasimbo. Kasimbo is the name for the publishing house. And then she had problems and she left. So we were three, this lady and myself and my partner Adalberto. And so this was the first case in Angola where a woman left two men pregnant with something, Usually, no, this is true. Usually it happens the other way. So she left.
Two men live.
Yeah, she left us with the two babies, Kasimbo and Kiela, during the pandemic. So I'm about to write to United Nations to do this thing. But it's just one case in the world. Usually men do that. So we had to do it. We had to deal with it. And it was the pandemic time. So our bookstore, it's like here, like an open space. So even during the pandemic, people would go there because it was safe. It was an open space. So people got that thing of going there on Saturdays. And that's what we do. I have a big preoccupation with children, books, and activities there. Because, if people are not reading that much in Luanda, and you can't force someone who's over 30, 40, 70 to start reading now. So I want to work with their kids. That's the only thing, to work as readers, the kids. That's what we do.
Okay, so my final question is writing in Africa, do you see it having a bright future? Especially from your side of the...
Not me, you.
Yeah, especially from your side of the Portuguese writing.
It's harder for us, as you might know. I don't like to complain, but it's a different attention that the Portuguese gets, for example, than the English gets or French, which is okay. We have to conquer our space. We are doing that. We are very much into, for example, Zukiswa and other small publishers in the continent. We are trying to do this co-working. We are trying to do these books being released at the same time in Portuguese, English, and French. So that's why our effort. Yes, I mean we have to keep fighting. There's no other way. It's not about where we get. It's about what we do while we're here. Maybe it's not now. It's gonna take a while.
A luta continua.
A luta continua, a vitória é incerta. It's not, we don't know. It's uncertain. Yeah.
So where when are we gonna see you over this festival?
I don't know. My boss is here, and the other boss, no, it's right now at 10 a.m. No? Zooks. Yeah?
Okay, so we'll let you
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Onjaki, publisher, bookstore owner. I was going to do something with underwear, but I realized it's wrong. So, he's talking about the underwear with the...
Oh, no, let's leave the underwear
Yes.
out of it. Yeah.
Dude, ratings. So we're about to start wrapping up because the next session is about to start. Socrates?
No, that's pretty much it. I think.
So please tell us what's coming, so that for those of you who are sitting wondering what's happening next.
I think they have this. They know what's coming. But yeah. I mean, definitely.
Yes.
We'll be moving to the first session, which will have Nana Ekwe Hammond Brew, Ni Aikwe Parks, in conversation with Zukiswa Vanna, Pan-Africanist, fighter, revolutionary. So we'll be having that. We're looking at children's books as character builders, and that will start actually 10 a.m. From there, the second session will be 11 a.m., where we'll look at Africa to the world, the business. And I think this is something we hardly talk about when it comes to writing on the continent. Everyone wants to write and write and write without thinking of who's going to sell the books, without thinking of the market. And I think there's a lot one can learn from, for example, Afrobeats, where, I mean, even just music on the continent, the collaborations you see, from Afrobeats to Amapiano to this to that, to even Afrobeats being played in India and even China. These are things I think we should practically think about as writers. The Chinese market, the Indian market. Those are things we should talk about. But I think our preoccupation has mostly been with the production of books and not the selling of those books. The third session will be the other side of African sexuality on the page. That would have Tendai El Huchu for Loverboy.
Love more. Love more.
Yeah, Tendai, Zukiswa, and Suleiman Adonai. So that will be the third session. I'll be quite curious to see what Suleiman will be saying in that session, actually.
Shout out to Suleiman Adonia, a.k.a. Adonis. Huh? Oh, a.k.a. Adonai.
I'm so sorry.
Now we have a new one for you.
We're going to add that.
So we're going to have to wrap up. Remember, when you're tweeting us, it's hashtag NYU Accra Lit Sim. LITSYMP NYU Accra Lit Sim.
Yeah, that's it. The sessions will continue up to 4 p.m. and where we will have the legend dialogue with Professor Wole Soyinka in conversation with S.C. Sutherland Addy. So I think that's a session to really look forward to. Interestingly, we were having a conversation yesterday with some of the guys, and just a mind shift for many of them was that this isn't really like a literary festival. This is more of a symposium, and I think that mind shift helped to understand a little bit of why we are all here for 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and having a very full schedule.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen out on the interwebs, the four of you that are watching us, please welcome. And please continue watching us. Well, not right now, but please continue watching the session. And Akwaba to Ghana.
Karibu.